Now, an Australian icon, the koala, has been classed as endangered. The number of koalas has fallen sharply along much of the east coast due to land clearing, bushfires and disease. Scientists say that the population in the state of New South Wales has decreased by up to 60% in the last 11 years. Now, Dr. Kelly Lee is the Executive Director of the non-profit research body Science for Wildlife, and I asked her what was behind the rapid decline in numbers during the last decade.
It's a pretty grim day to see the endangered listing today. It's been a combination of threats. So habitat loss is definitely the key driver that we've seen. They certainly prefer really good soil types, but there's also chlamydial disease that's really been heavily impacting the populations. And certainly the black summer fires that we saw 2 years ago had a devastating impact across most of the eastern states.
Let's take that first reason that you gave, loss of habitats. I wonder about where that leads the recovery effort for this species. I mean, how do you get to increase the population and take species off an endangered list if they've got nowhere to live?
Yeah, absolutely. And that is a big challenge. In a lot of areas, the koalas do prefer habitats that are on good soil types that people also prefer for development and agriculture. So there has been a big net loss of habitat over the last couple of decades, and it's been accelerating pretty much every year. Under the increased protections now, under the EPBC Act, the hope is that the decisions are much more in the favour of the koalas and that the habitat loss is stemmed. We've also been finding them inside protected areas, which has been quite hopeful, but then under climate change, that's now an added challenge as well.
Now, a New South Wales inquiry suggested that koalas could become extinct by 2050. What needs to be done to prevent that from happening?
Look, a lot needs to be done, to be honest, and we really have to manage them across land tenures. So we do, some of the work we're doing here in the Blue Mountains is looking at potential climate refugia and also now fire refugia. We're trying to work out how to manage koalas under increasingly intense and frequent bushfires. So you need to look at the threats they face inside the protected areas, which also includes disease, but also to stem that habitat loss. We've got to stop sometime soon, and we now need to do it while we've got some koalas left. Now that they're endangered, it's no longer enough for us to just try and hang on to what we've got left. We need to actively increase population numbers, and that means increasing koala habitat as well.
How hopeful are you that things can be turned around?
I think, if there's any animal that we can save that will turn things around, it's our iconic koala. There's certainly, particularly since the fires, been a really high level of community concern, and also political will is increasing in order to try and conserve them. In New South Wales, there's been a statement by the New South Wales government that they want to double koala numbers by 2050 and really reverse the trend. So it's now a wait and see game to see how that changes and is implemented on the grounds, because it is a big ask. There's certainly a lot of tree planting and various things going on, but obviously the key thing right now to hang on to the koalas that we have is to conserve the old growth forests and their core habitats right now, and to stop any net losses.